Nearly all of the Greater Bay Area residents are totally unaware of a very different look of things in the 1940s and 50s. A great transportation system was buried and forgotten as quickly as possible. Let's look back to grander times there.
In 1946, the key system was sold to National City Lines. This holding company has been criticized ever since for converting many American electric rail lines to bus operation. In short order, the orange and silver gave way to the common green and yellow of the NCL colors that reached into countless streetcar and electric lines nationwide. The main lines of the Bridge Railway, shown here, were supplemented by a wealth of city streetcar lines, shown in green. It all worked together, but it was best suited for an era before the family car. The green lines represent the zenith of the connecting trolley or streetcar lines that gradually adapted to bus travel beginning in the 1920s. Another part of the Keys' participation in the war was in special streetcars that promoted the idea of blood donation to support the troops injured in the course of the war effort. The 6th line ran from Thousand Oaks in Berkeley all the way to a loop in downtown Oakland near 8th and Franklin. This early 1900s scene and the limited urban housing compares with the streetcar 10 line of the late 40s. Nearby, at the bottom of the dip, are turnouts for the Piedmont C line trains. Streetcar 932 was one of many ordered in 1922 from American Car Company as units 900 through 954. The K line often used streetcars in multiple unit operation. This Berkeley line was the only streetcar line with transfer privileges to the bridge train service. In earlier years, the F line ended at the south end of the K line. When the SP Red trains quit in 1941, the Key system extended its F line service out to North Bray as shown here. A 5-line streetcar boards passengers while an F-line bridge train passes by. Another 5-line streetcar on University at Shattuck continues its run. The 5-line ran from 3rd and University to 1st and Broadway, nearly 8 miles. Much of the 5-line used Telegraph Avenue. Car 954 was the last in the first order of 900 series cars from American Car Company. Car 820 was built as a prototype for rebuilding the 800 series cars to resemble the newer 900 series cars. Car 801 was one of 18 built in the Emeryville shops in 1919 to 1920. Streetcar 801 just crossed the E line on its 5-line, moments ahead of a bridge train from Claremont heading to San Francisco. It's easy to see how streetcars crisscrossing the East Bay were a poor mix with growing auto traffic by the late 1940s. The B line shared some trackage with the 18 and the 12-line streetcars. The A-line bridge trains shared some trackage past Lake Merritt Dam with a number of streetcar lines. Nearby was the 18th Street and 3rd Avenue streetcar barn. Bridge trains labeled A1 once terminated here for connections to the streetcar grid. This sad scrapping procession is led by 705, then 389, followed by an unidentified unit, and finally 398. The flat car motor 1208 is pushing this group of retired streetcars around in Emeryville for the last insult of termination and scrapping of the streetcar lines in the East Bay by 1948. Lucky 1208, dating from 1897, was described by the late Harry DeMoro as having an insect-like appearance, a very apt description. Back in the late 40s and 50s, streetcars were scrapped in this typical ignominious style of burning to salvage whatever steel residue could be reclaimed. By modern pollution standards, this form of reclamation would be scorned if not prosecuted. The crunch of the National City Lines, or NCL holding company, that took over the numerous interurban and streetcar lines post-World War II, has fueled debate for decades. The narrow-gauge Los Angeles Railway was another example of the National City Line's takeover after World War II. This line dated back to the efforts of Henry Huntington, the nephew of Southern Pacific's Collis P. Huntington. Henry bought and built electric lines in the early 20th century, and there are many parallels to Orrock Smith's key system strategy. The Huntington standard streetcar design was an influence on many streetcars used out west, including early key system streetcars. The Los Angeles Railway made every effort to accommodate its flagging patrons. The more streamlined and smooth-riding PCC cars, introduced in the late 30s, hoped to stem the tide of patron loss to the family automobile. The LA Railway managed to extend its life into the early 1960s. All the while, bus service encroached into this historic railway until it too was finished with rail service. The yellow, green, and white colors of the LA Railway and the new colors for the post-war key system was no accident of coincidence. This was the common color theme imposed by the National City Lines for rail lines gobbled up around the country. Ever since, barrels of ink have been used to document the anti-rail and pro-bus attitude of the National City Lines after these scenes were taken. Many streetcar bodies were sold to hot dog stand owners, farm owners for field worker housing, storage sheds, and many other enterprises. You can see the new colors that the NCL placed on many of the Keys streetcars in only 2 years. Many also retired in the old orange color. Now, only the heavy bridge rail units were left to use the remaining rails. Long ago, this area was mostly a swampland. A B-line train turns off of 22nd Street to head down Poplar Street. In about 18 minutes, it will be in San Francisco. This B-line train is about to cross Adeline and run past a factory with an electrified freight siding that ran into the actual building. This is on Grand Avenue between Harrison and Webster Streets. This is Grand Avenue at Euclid. Here's a brief view of Lake Merritt. It has long been one of Oakland's bright spots.
Look for the 2 DVDs that cover great amounts of Bay Area history with grand looks into a very different way of life in earlier times. The DVD Part 2 covers the World War II to 1958 era, and the DVD Part 1 covers the earlier 1900 to 1945 era. Our website has a total of 51 DVDs covering railroading history all over the U.S. and Canada. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.